Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Crushing Land. We apologize for the little bit of a delay that we had. We had some technical issues going on. It wasn't streaming correctly. Looks like that has all been corrected, and we are good to go here with you guys today. So we are happy to be here with you. We're happy to have Deb again with us from RocketPrint. She's been on here before and talking about direct mail with us, and something that we use obviously very much in our businesses, one of the key components we talked about last month. We had Kyle on from Batch Leads, and we were talking about SMS integration. And one of the things that we highlighted very much was that you do both of them to get the best bang for your buck, right? And hitting people from different methods, from letters and from text. We've never stopped sending letters. So Deb's been on here before. She's talked to us about that. Today, she's going to talk to us more about direct mail, but she's also going to be talking about some integrations that you can use to really set yourself apart. That's one of the things that obviously we want to do. You want your phone ringing. You want the leads coming to you, especially as the competition gets a little bit more saturated, which we've seen. The competition, obviously, because more people jump in, because it's easier in the hotter market. So how do you get yourself to stand apart? We're still doing deals left and right, regardless of the market, but a lot of that is how we stand apart as different. A lot of the marketing that I get in is just complete garbage because people don't really know what they're doing. They just get something in the mail and they think, you know what, I'm gonna jump into this and I'm gonna do this too. But so how do you make yourself stand apart with that? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Deb's going to talk to us for a little bit about that. This is interactive, everybody, if you're watching live, so feel free to ask any questions. We'll pose them to her at the end. So that being said, Deb, go ahead, take it over. And we look forward to hearing from you and everybody learning how you can advance your business strategies, your direct mail, all of that, even more to get even more leads coming in. So thanks for joining us. And we look forward to it.
Well, thank you to both of you for having me, and hello to everybody. I just first of all wanted to tell a little bit. Most of you do know me and RocketPrint, but the thing that differentiates us in the market is that besides we do all of our mail here. So we print it, we clear it for the post office here. We're full service, but when we started as a company over 20 years ago, we started as a marketing company. So at the very core of our beingness is that marketing component. So we're always looking for ways to integrate different types of marketing with your mail to increase your response rate and, most importantly, your return on investment. So thank you to Jonathan and Genus for having me today, because I wanted to talk about our newest product. It's called Everywhere Land Investing. It's a multi-channel marketing tool to be used with your mail to get people's attention on different platforms. So you may have heard before, we've had for over 10 years a product called Everywhere Small Business. This is a hybrid of that. What we did is we took that program and we tweaked it just for land. So to give you an idea, the original one had Google retargeting, Google remarketing, and Facebook, Instagram. This new Everywhere Land Investing now is going to get your message out to people across multiple platforms, including Google retargeting, Google keywords, the Facebook, Instagram, the social media, YouTube videos, and also Gmail text. So what we've done is we've taken that product and made it very specific to get the message out on multi-channels. And the biggest tweak to it was what we found was with our previous product, if any of you saw it or heard about it, is it did a lot of geo-targeting. So through Google, it was doing geo-targeting, which what we identified with, even though the product was very successful, was that wasn't the best platform for land investors, because while you're acquiring land, it's vacant usually, and there aren't people living on it. And so the owner of the land tends to be in a different geographical area. So retargeting to the geo area that you're marketing to was not necessarily getting the correct people in front of you. So the really neat thing with this is what we do is we start very basically with your list. So when you send your list to send for us to print and mail, we upload it to Facebook, which also owns Instagram, and they'll do a social match based on name and address. Believe it or not, they don't even need an email anymore. They pretty much know everything about all of us. So they'll do a match. And then what will happen is before your mail even goes out, the Facebook, Instagram, the social media part of it will start marketing in front of those people on your list. So you're actually going to see there'll be a banner ad that displays within the newsfeed of someone's Facebook or Instagram from you. And so we're going to start that usually when we release the mail. So the mail, depending on what class postage you're sending, is going to deliver anywhere between 3 and 14 days after we release it to the post office. So when we release it, we actually launch that portion of it. So people are actually seeing you, a few days before they physically get your letter in the mail. The other part of it, the secondary part, is the Google retargeting. So hopefully you're promoting your website on your letter. People are going to go find you, and when they go to your website and leave, again, we're going to have banner ads that is going to display in front of these people within their when they're searching on their computer, those types of things. So you're going to see display ads. So that's a secondary. All of these ads that I'm talking about, what happens is and I think most of you are aware of this, but you click on them. And when you click on them, it takes you back to your website. So you definitely want to make sure you have a strong presence on your website when you add this component to your mail. What we do is part of the service is we do a free critique on your website when you add this, because we want to make sure that you're positioned correctly on your website to get the best traffic and get the most leads you can. So that's the second component of it, is that geo retargeting, or not geo, that Google retargeting for people that go to your website. The third part is Google keywords. So now we did extensive research on keywords that people search. We also add things like the company name that's on your letter, the contact name on your letter. We'll put things like that in there too. So when people go to the Google search bar, once again, it's going to bring you up. And then beyond that, we're going to also have, I know it's a lot, there's a lot of different things going on here. YouTube. So when we pick up their IP address, whenever they go to your website, they're going to now see a YouTube ad. And also we get their IP address. So if they have a Gmail account, they're also going to display ads with their Gmails. So it's just, we say everywhere, and that's just it. You're everywhere. We tweaked this again late last year, released it in late December. I have multiple people that are using it and seeing incredible results. And when I talk about incredible results, one of the first cases I did was someone had mailed 750 letters a week for 4 weeks, so 3,000 letters. The amount of clickbacks they got were over 530. I think it was 538. So that's the number of people that were interested enough that they actually clicked on those display ads and went back. So we're seeing a lot of traction with this. The thing to really understand is that, oddly enough, land investors aren't in these platforms. They're not. So when we look at these results compared to people outside of land, they're about 3 times higher. And I think it's just there's not a lot of action in those spaces for land investors. So what happens is when people send mail other than yourself, it's creating activity for you when they're seeing your ads. It brings more interest to those, and they're clicking on them and coming back to your website. So
can I just say something real quick on that? Because this kind of goes along with what we were talking about last month when we were talking about the texting. Because like the texting, a lot of that was based on the fact of, if it's like a text to them saying, hey, did you get my letter? But you may not even have sent a letter yet. Or maybe you did, but 3 other people did as well. But what it does is it just associates you with it. It brings you to the top, because they're like, oh, the text, oh, did you get my letter? Yeah, I got your letter. Brings you, they may have got 7 letters, but because you're saying that, now they're just associating you and bringing you up. And that's the same thing here. I mean, and if everybody's wondering like how effective, I mean, we've all been consumers of something like this. You know, somebody has something targeted that you don't even think you're interested in or never even really thought about, but a Facebook algorithm and a list that they have and something that you have an interest in, it all ties together. And all of a sudden you're seeing some ads and you click on it. And next thing you know, you're buying something, and then you get something in the mail a few days later. So it may not be for land, obviously, or for real estate, but we've all had those situations where, you know, I've had that happen with clothing, with shoes that I bought, and things like that. Those ones I can think of off the top of my head that we bought a map that was interesting to us because we travel a lot, and it was all stuff that we were just kind of searching for something very minor, and it was like a whole different thing. But the way it fed, it just kind of led us there. So it's all part of just leading them to you, right? And when you add in all these components, even if you're only doing a few of them, if you're referencing others, it still makes it sound like you're involved in all of them. And all of a sudden it's like you're coming up with their reaction to you. Because like I get texts all the time from people that are like, hey, did you get, oh yeah, I got your, I never sent them a letter. It was like, but they just assume that I did because, you know, we're going to be sending them a letter down the road. We're texting them first and then we're sending, but that happens. And so it's the same thing here, you know, from the land perspective, just so everybody understands that you start doing all of these different things. It's just to bump you to the front of the line with all of these potential sellers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said a few key things too at the beginning is the mail is king. The mail is what drives all of this, and it's what makes you most reputable. For whatever reason, you know, the getting that physical piece in the mail, it just makes it real to people. So the mail drives all of this, but then it interacts. Like you said, other people are going to start sending mail, and when they see your online ads, they're going to think it was you. Sometimes they get to the point where they're not even opening them anymore, and they think, oh, it's that guy again. But when they start seeing it online, and as you guys know better than I do, land can often be what I call a trigger industry, meaning something triggers people to finally sell this land, whether it's they've got a kid going to college, they got someone getting married, they just need some extra money, or maybe that tax bill came and it's triple what it was last year. But because it's a trigger industry too, that's the beauty of this, is maybe they got the letter, but now they're seeing your ads ongoing until they actually decide to do something about it. So it's a way of staying in front of people for a long period of time until they're ready to contact you, to really do, you know, make the action to sell the land. So that's really the strong part of it. The other interesting thing, and you kind of said something about it, Jonathan, is that probably the biggest challenge I have with this product when people try it is that it's all based on website activity. So I have people that say when they've stopped this, that their acquisitions have went down 35%. And it's interesting because we say it gives you about a 30 to 65% boost. So that 35% seems very real to me when people say it. But because it's not a hard phone number coming in on a line, there is a dashboard. So in your dashboard, if you're doing mail with us now, you'll be able to see all the activity by platform. So you can see how many clicks you got through Google, how many clicks you got through YouTube, how many you got through Facebook. You could see all of that, and actually the number of ads being displayed. So you can see all that. So you can see the activity, you can see what kind of impact it's having, but it isn't a hard number like, oh, they called on a unique number and I know it came off of that. It is just like Jonathan said, it's just being there. So when they're ready, or they get a mail from someone else and they click on you, it's just being at the top of that spectrum. So when they're ready, they choose you.
Yeah. One of the things like we talk about with the way we do it in our letters that are in our program, it's about standing out as different even in the letter itself. You know, so our letter is not your typical the one that everybody sends. It's a little bit more designed to get a little bit of engagement and to stand out a little bit differently. The text messages, a lot of that's with compliance, but it's involved to get engagement with these people. It's not, are you interested in selling your property? Is did you get my letter, or did you something along those lines? And so when we're doing these things for engagement purposes, the more things that are engaging them, even if it's not trackable, even if it's not, it's always trackable, but even if it's not 100% trackable, even if it's not something that you really have a good feel on because it's just them seeing something or watching something or whatever it may be, it's still more tools, right? More in your arsenal that are just helping you to stand. And just think about it from the we always tell people, put yourself in other people's shoes and look at it from the human standpoint. If you get a letter in the mail yourself for something, or you get a letter in the mail, plus somebody reaches out to you, plus you've got, something pops in front of you, some sort of video or something like that, which one are you more likely to deal with, or to buy from or sell to? Whatever the product is that you're choosing, which one are you more likely to use? And obviously it's the one that's touching you more and in different ways. So the more things that you have that can help you to just stand in front of people, even if it is stuff that you're not doing personally, right? Even if it's just something attached to a letter and it's a video popping up or something on their feed or whatever it is, it's just something that the letter is always the best. It's still the best, right? Because it's direct mail. Direct mail works. There's no doubt about that. That is, like, as far as the quality of lead and everything but what helps that letter to stand out up here instead of, here? Everybody else is here with their letters, right? We've already brought our letter to here, but what helps you bring your letter, even higher up because of standing out even more and having them actually pick up the phone or go to your website or whatever to put in their information?
Yeah, and it's, the brand recognition, meaning you have a lot of competition. I would think, I've heard this from a lot of land investors, one of the biggest hurdles is, being reputable, because they get a lot of letters, they don't know who to trust. When they start seeing you on all these different platforms, it just makes you more reputable as well. So it's just a really great way to make you reputable. And again, other people's mail is actually driving traffic to you because they see their mail and then they see you on these other platforms. So, it's kind of like, who do I want to work with? Well, a lot of times when you can't decide, you go with the person that you trust the most. And that's the way you build trust, is through branding and recognition. So that's what this does as well. One other thing is with this product, and honestly, I told Genius, anyone who wants this product, I will add it to their letter at no charge. They just need to call me. We're also offering free QR codes, and the QR code, if any of you have used them, it's really interesting because two things. One is ours is unique, meaning each QR code on each letter is unique. So when they open the QR code, you can go into your dashboard and see who opened them. So you get a report of who's opening these things. So it's not just a static that it goes to somewhere and you don't know whoever opened it. We do actually make them unique to the people on your list, so you can get reporting. But the thing we found with that QR code as well is, and you kind of touched on that too, is videos. We're the people that are getting the most traction off of them. We're doing something like learn more about us, like in a handwritten font with an arrow, and then the QR code. And the QR code often opens to a video about, hey, here we are. We've been doing this so long, and this is why you should use us. Another video I've been seeing used that's working quite well too, is how the process works. Do you want to know how this works? And like a little note and then the QR code, and it opens to a video saying, hey, this is really a simple process. Let me walk you through it. It'll only take 2 minutes. And they talk about, you sign the agreement, blah, blah, blah. They pay for closing costs. It's just a quick little video, but just to make them feel comfortable that it's all legit and that it happens quickly. So that is another product that we offer with this product, with the Everywhere Land Investing. But anyone who's watching that would like to try something like that, certainly call and we can upgrade your letters with that QR code tool at no extra cost, if it's something you'd like to try. I'll say, I don't see, when I look in on it, I don't see huge numbers. I'm not seeing thousands, But the thing is, they're really warm leads. So even if you only had 10 in a week, they're warm leads. They were interested enough to open that to find out, how do I do this? What's the process like? So, we consider them very warm leads when they open that, because they've taken the time to go find out more about you. So really interesting tool, and it works well. And like I said, we can add it at no charge.
Well, and part of it too, with some of these videos, like we've had a little increase in this, is it's just organic. We haven't even paid for it with ours, but we've had like a link on some of our videos in the past where it's just a video of my wife and I talking and introducing ourselves so that they know who they're dealing with, right? But we host it on YouTube. Well, YouTube's owned by Google. And so if Google sees them looking at that, what does Google show them, right? And so it's because, and obviously if we paid for ads for our, we haven't, but if we paid for ads for our land investing side of the business, like our actual, getting sellers, it would work even better, right? Because then Google would, but even as it is, Google's still showing them because it shows them other things that they already liked. And so that's been beneficial just in that, where we have like this little free video that's hosted on YouTube, and it's just like, hey, check us out. And we actually got a couple when they get the letter. We have another one that's on there that kind of shows them how to fill out the form if they want to do it online, posted on YouTube. And so when that kind of stuff happens, it's like, every click, every time, all of a sudden that video's in the thousands and thousands of views, even because of what it is. And that helps, it all interacts to help you. So it's stuff that if people are, I guess, a little nervous or a little bit like, well, I'm not in a position yet to maybe spend more to add all of these features. And like you mentioned, the QR code can be done for free. You can have a video like that, you can put that in there, and then from there, it's like, as you start to see, okay, well, now I'm ready to add in a couple months after some with these other things that you're talking about to keep it going and keep it ramped up.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing about this product too, is when we sign you up, we do absolutely everything. So you don't have to be really good at any of this. We create the display ads. We do absolutely everything except the video. We do have that service. It's an add-on service. Anyone who wants us to make a video for them, I think it's an additional $348. But other than that, as far as managing these accounts, the display ads, all of that, we do absolutely everything for you. So it kind of, you just have to go in and see where check and see how many leads you're getting, that kind of thing. So we manage the whole entire thing. The beauty of it too is that because of our relationship with Google and Facebook and some of these other companies, and the amount that we're wholesaling on a monthly basis, you couldn't even try to do this for the amount of money we're charging, because we're getting it to you at such a reduced rate. So just to give you an idea, the first month of this service with all of the setups is $1,698. Then after that, it's a $950 a month charge, which, if you think about, again, I talked about the one company got over 530 clickbacks. When you start talking clicks in the real estate vertical market, on average, they're usually worth about $35 each. Some markets, you go into Denver, places like that, they start approaching 100. So when you can see the value, if those are worth $35 each and you're getting over 500 of them, it's just an incredible value that we built for the end user and made it easy for you guys to just be out there getting this business and not having to worry about it.
And just to put it in the business perspective, because the land investing perspective, the world that we live in, you're talking about roughly about $12,000 a year if you were to do it for the whole year. So you already mentioned an uptick of 35 to 65%. Let's just go like really low on that and say it's 25%, right? Let's go even, you know how I am. For anybody that knows me, I'm always very conservative, just, with these things on purpose. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, let's just go with that. So if you're talking $12,000 a year for a 25% uptick, if you're only doing 10 deals a year, that means you just got an extra 2 to 3 deals. That's what that turns into, right? 10 at 25% up, which just took you 2 or 3 more. $12,000 at 2 to 3 more deals, you're talking only a profit of $4,000 to $6,000 per deal. So that's only at 10, right? So to if you're only doing 10 deals a year and you uptick at 25%, you're talking only an extra $4,000 to $6,000 in those 2 to 3 deals for it to break even, which is like lower than our average profit point. So if that's lower than your average profit point and you're doing more than deals than that anyway, it's showing you that really it's going to wash out very quickly for the, for what it comes into. So for people that are, because whenever you talk like bigger numbers, obviously sometimes it gets a little scary, right? It's like, oh man, it's over $10,000 a year to do this. Okay, great. It's over $10,000 a year. But if you're doing 30 deals a year and all of a sudden that just turned into an extra 8 to 10 deals, all of a sudden you're talking an extra $50,000, $100,000 a year plus, right? From your, so you just got to look at it from the right perspective. And honestly, I mean, like I said, I understand for a lot of you watching, maybe you're not there yet. You're working at that. That's why we're here to help you get to that level, through our program and everything like that. We help you guys to increase and get the deals and get things going. But one of the things we also talk about is not stopping to grow. So like, as you're doing this, it's like, okay, you start integrating things. You do the letters, you mix the text in like we talked about before. You put a QR code on to like make yourself stand out, or a picture on your letter, or a video to help you. We've talked about that. And then as those things from there, you can start investing more to really bring it up to the next level. So even if it's not today, I'm ready to do this, fine. Take the steps to get there. We understand that things don't happen overnight. We talk about that. It's an investment. It's part of it. But one of the things that we train and that we talk about with you guys over and over and over and over again is you need to look at this from the business perspective, not the deal perspective. These are all aspects that help you to bring it into the business world, as opposed to just doing it deal by deal by deal by deal. So if you start adding all these things in, that's where you can really stand. And then that's, like I said, that's the difference. I'm spending $10,000, $12,000 a year, but I'm making an extra $50,000 to $100,000 off of that. Who doesn't make that trade-off? And we make that trade-off every day. If you buy a property for $12,000 and sell it for $50,000, you're flying high, and you're writing testimonials in our group, and you're telling us how amazing it is and how great the program is. And well, guess what? You just made the same trade-off in marketing. You tell $12,000, $50,000. It's the same exact thing. So just something to keep in mind here. Again, even if you're not ready today, it's fine. It's March 1st, but if you're looking for, third quarter goals, or if you're looking for end of the year, by 2024, I'm going to be in this position, because that's the way you need to think. But you want to be looking at these aspects here of things to really like blow up your business and keep yourself and stand apart.
Yeah, thank you for that, because that's all so true. And that is one of the other differences we made with this product, is because we found that our successful land investors have no problem jumping into a product like this. But people that are fairly new, that's just it. They want to experience some success before they jump in head first, kind of thing. So that's the one thing we did with this too, is we made it a monthly subscription, so that you're not having to put that $12,000 up front. That you can do, once you get going, it's the $950 a month. But like you said, Jonathan, it's part of a goal. If you're not there now, you should definitely make it a goal, that it's something you want to do in the future, and map out what that looks like to you and where you want to be, because this definitely will help you get where you're trying to go. But not doing anything is not going to get you there very quickly. But I understand wanting to experience, some success and then add on. So I understand that, people who have the resources to do it are doing it and finding, really great differences in their results and their return on investment when they add these kind of tools. And, it's the information highway. It's just where everybody's going, even my father, people older people even are now on the internet looking before they're picking up the phone. So, you know, if you have this idea that you shouldn't be sharing websites and you shouldn't be driving people to your website or to other places, you're probably missing out on a lot of business, because here we go again. People are looking for you to find out if you're reputable, if you could be trusted, if you're someone they want to do business with. If you're shutting them off on these channels, someone else is more than likely going to attract their attention. So it's something you definitely want to look at, because that's what's going on. Is people are going onto their computers trying to find out more about you and figure out if you're the person they want to deal with. We do also have a totally different program that I wanted to mention just quickly too. And you can call or email me and I can tell you more about it. We also have what's called a website to mailbox product that we launched in the last probably 9 months. And that's simply where if someone goes to your website and leaves, we can, through their IP address, we can match their home address with a 98% deliverability. And what we do is we send a postcard. And I know postcards aren't the greatest thing for land investing. However, the beauty is, you know, the postcards can go first class postcard rate. And that's why we're using them, is because when someone visits your website, we actually print the card overnight and mail it so that they have the card within 2 to 3 days. So it's just another way to touch people that maybe went to your website but didn't fill out a form, and you just want to get one more thing in their hand. So we also have that product that we've launched and we're using we have a few land investors that are using that as well.
Just to be clear on this is not, we definitely do not recommend postcards, but we're talking about cold contact. This is not cold. This is a warm lead at this point, because this person has been on your website and they just kind of checked you out, and it's a follow-up. So, and if they're getting it in, I don't know if the mail, it seems like the mail is still messed up, not you guys' fault, but just the post office system in general, but they should technically get it in 2 to 3 days. They should, if the mail is running right. So if they're on your site, if they're looking you up and all of a sudden here's something in front of them in a couple days, they're going to recognize that. It's not going to be like a junk postcard, because they're going to be like, hey, I was just looking at this person. And again, we've all had that experience, right? We've all had that where we've gone out on somebody's site or somebody's ad or something like that and looked at it, and all of a sudden you're either getting a postcard, or if they're a store, you get a catalog in the mail, whatever it may be. Something is showing up at your door within that week. So it is a little different, right? It's not, we definitely say do not mail postcards for cold contact to be like, are you interested in selling your property? But there is a difference between, cold leads, warm leads, and hot leads. And here we're talking about somebody that's warm because they did go out and already look at your website.
Correct. And because of privacy rules and regulations, it is a very generic postcard. It will, of course, have your branding on it. It'll say like what your features and benefits are. Like, we can close within 10 days, blah, 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 closing costs covered, your benefits, they'll be on there, but we can't say, hey, you were just on my website, because of privacy rules. So it's a very generic, like you say, it's a touch to a warm lead they were interested enough to go to your website and now they left. Another really interesting tidbit is when I talked about back on the other product, that this company that we did the case study on had the over 530 clickbacks. The average land acquisition company has 1 visitor a day to their website. It's definitely something that, as a group in general, that you guys have to look at yourselves, because you should be driving a lot of traffic to your website. You should be getting a lot of leads off your website. But on average, we find that for whatever reason, you're not putting your website on your actual mail piece, whatever reason, but we see about an average of 1 per day. And the reason I bring that up is now you can see this person that was getting 1 visitor a day now had over 530. And that is so powerful in itself. And that was over a 30-day period, but they went from 40 to 530 visitors. That's so powerful, in itself. So it just kind of shows how much activity and how much interest you can drive with these kind of tools.
Yeah, very powerful stuff. And again, everybody, I'm just gonna bring this point up again because it's something I really want to hammer here, because it's the way we do it, and it's the way that we teach, and is we are all starting from somewhere different. We understand that. Some people have limited budget, some people have limited time, so we're all starting from a different place where we need to go. But one of the things that is, and maybe Deb, you can comment on this a little bit, is because somebody actually asked a question on this, and we'll bring up the question afterwards. But one of the things that we always teach is obviously you're looking for more help, more avenues, more education, mentoring, coaching, all of those things as you're going along, because you don't want to do this. You can, but you're going to make mistakes. There's no doubt about it. People do that, right? And the other thing that I'm always preaching up and down, and everybody here knows this, that's watching this, that's heard me for anything more than a couple of weeks: consistency in your business. Never let off the gas. And then as you have the ability to grow, you pump up your volume too. So it's both of them. Now, pumping up volume can be done in different ways. You could be mailing 300 pieces a week because that's all you can handle. And then all of a sudden you jump up to 500 pieces a week because you can afford that. When you're at 500 pieces a week, it doesn't necessarily mean now that you have to go from 500 to 1,000. You could stay at 500, but pump up your volume by adding texting into those same people. You could be adding in this, everywhere, land everywhere service to those 500 pieces. That's still pumping up the volume on those things. So now you've always been consistent. Now that you have the ability, you pump up the volume. So you do this for a living as far as the actual direct mail marketing and all those things. Any comments on what I just said there, those things?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, consistency, and as you probably know, I follow a lot of different groups, and I talk to a lot of people, and one of the biggest mistakes people make, which is kind of on that line too, is they'll stop. They'll acquire 2 or 3 pieces of land, and then they'll stop marketing. And that's a really hard thing to experience, because then all of a sudden you sell all 3 in a week and you're sitting there with nothing to do. So consistency is, first of all, it helps with your branding. Secondly, it's going to get you the leads coming in, like you say, constantly. The third thing that you talked about is, it doesn't have to be more mail. Mail, like I said, mail is king, but it doesn't have to be more mail. If you can boost, because we all know the postage rates just keep going up and going up and going up. Right now, standard bulk rate's 36 cents. So, instead of sending to that same list again in 3 months, maybe you want to add texting or add the everywhere land investing to keep in front of those leads instead of having to mail to them again. So, there's a lot going on here, because, some people will mail right away back into a place they just mailed to if they got a lot of action. So some people will do that. That's not traditionally in land investing what we see. We see, if anyone goes back to a list, it's probably in about 3 months. We don't see that. So you're so right, I would even say, instead of adding more mail, you want to add the texting, or you want to add this to stay in front of those people you already spent the more money on for the mail, and stay in front of them so that when they're ready, they do reach to you. So you're right, it's consistency, but I think it's actually spreading your marketing into some different channels rather than just depending on the mail.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that depends on the market shift too. Right now, everybody and their brother's mailing, right? I get letters on my, every week I get, because we own a bunch of properties, so I get letters on those all the time. I will say 90% of those letters are total garbage, just total garbage. They wouldn't even get me to open those letters if I didn't know what they were. I'm opening them because it's my entities on there, and my entity is only used as a holding company. I don't do business in that company, nothing. It's literally just a title holding company. So I know what those letters are. It's the only reason I ever get them. The only two things I ever get for those are tax documents, from having to pay taxes and things like that, from the government or whatever, and other offers, because it's an entity. And so it always piques my attention because I'm in the business and I open them. If I was to get those in my own personal name in the mailbox, they wouldn't even get open. They'd be just thrown in the garbage can. So that fact alone and standing out with the direct mail. But then if you add these other things into it, all of a sudden it's like, again, more touches, more in front of them. Now, direct mail is still king. And when the market slows, we were talking about this a few years ago. Direct mail was very powerful on its own. Why was it powerful on its own? Because it was different, right? It's like nobody, there wasn't a whole bunch of land investors out there. They weren't getting letters all the time. They'd get a letter from you and then they wouldn't get one for months. Different market right now. So right now, being in front of them, standing out a little bit different, obviously helps if you're able to do those things. And then obviously as it shifts, you may, you kind of look at those again as you're going along. So just something, again, adding into your arsenal, adding into your repertoire to just help as you're going along. And again, if you're not in a position right now with the fight, it's fine. It's like, but look at it from the business building standpoint and moving it along. What can I do to, the same thing happened with the text messaging, because there's obviously a cost for that. And people are like, well, I don't have, fine. Keep mailing your letters. Integrate it in when you work out, have that as a goal. I'm going to integrate this in. I'm going to integrate this aspect in, because what you're going to see is if you're consistent and you're growing like this and you pump up your volume, your growth doesn't do this, it does this, right? It totally shifts and you're going at a much steeper incline because of all of those things. So to really build a business, it's something that you want to do, but obviously you need to do it for what we're able to handle. We do have some questions here that came up. So not a whole lot, but we'll answer them. Let me just see if there's anything here. There's not. Okay, so over here. Let's see. Do you have a recommended minimum weekly mailing amount that you recommend?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I think that kind of dovetails into what you're talking about. What are your goals and what are you trying to achieve? But I had a lot of information shared with me lately. And of course, this is just a general number because everyone is going to be different based on the type of property that you're targeting, the value of it, those types of things. But before COVID, people would get a deal for about every 800 letters. And this is like a general, like they're buying properties probably in that $20,000 to $30,000. That's what they're buying them for. Now it's more like 2,400. So, you have to get mail out there to get that one deal. So it just depends on what you're marketing to and what you're trying to achieve and how much you have to mail. I've had people mail 500 and get 3 deals. So there's not a special secret. The thing I say though is you need to be mailing enough to be in front of the market, meaning if you're trying to test, are my prices on my offer correct? And you're trying to test that and you're dripping like 20 letters a day. By the time you figure it out, someone else has already acquired the land. There's so much competition out there. You can't wait 14 days to do 20 a day for 10 days or whatever to get 200 out. That just doesn't work because the competition is so stiff right now that you just don't want to be dripping small amounts trying to figure out what you're doing. You need to get a hold of your mentor if you think you're having an issue with what your prices are. But my thing is minimum 500. I just think anything under 500, you're just not going to have enough traction to get enough leads to actually close the one you're looking for. I would say I have over 1,500 active land clients, and I would say on average, they mail over 1,000 at a time. on average. Believe me, I have a lot of people, lots. I have a few hundred that mail maybe 500 a week every single week. So everybody kind of does their own thing, but it's kind of like what you're talking about, Jonathan. Once you want to grow and expand, you can't just operate on that 500. You have to push more mail to get more leads, to get more acquisitions.
Yeah. And you know, we're in the same boat. We say 500 a week. And obviously, you know, our numbers are a little bit better than 1 in 2,400. They're actually quite a bit better. But part of that is, you know, our letter is a little different. It does stand out on its own because people are using just the letter and are still getting deals with us. Because the letter does stand out as a better, more, it's less businessy, and it just doesn't scream that. It doesn't, you know, oh, here comes another land, you know.
Yeah.
We're also following up, you know, with people with the text messaging. We're also, you know, on our offers, we make an offer, then we make a second offer on properties after. So we're getting extra touches there. So a lot of it depends on your follow-up system and what you're doing after the fact too, to get your deals. I mean, I know people that are saying, well, you know, we're getting a deal every 2,500. Okay. But probably all you're doing is mailing a letter. Right. So if you're adding in other aspects and then on that you make an offer, but then you never go beyond that. So it depends on how far you take things in everything in order for that to stand out. And she mentioned 1,500 land investors, and you guys might be like, wow, there's that many people doing this. It is hot right now, but we're talking about a country. 1,500 people in the country. It's pretty minor, actually. It's very minor, right? I mean, housing, there's that many people, 1,500 house investors in a metro area. I mean, so you're talking about across the United States, 15 out of 300 million people, 15, it's very, very minor. So it does help you to see, if you put it into perspective, that the competition in land is still not nearly what it is in other, you know, other real estate investing avenues, not even close. Let's see. So a question, I guess it was for me, and you can chime in on this too, because you would have, somebody asked if I finished testing my name on the envelope and if I noticed a difference with the leads, because last time you were on, you talked about putting we were just doing a return address, and you said that putting a name, even if it's unknown, tends to pull better. I've been doing it. I haven't stopped doing that on my own. I didn't really see a huge difference, but I didn't see a decline. So that's why we've left it. But you can chime in on that because you obviously handle this for much more people than just myself. I mean, the difference between putting your name, you know, even if it's unknown to that person, as opposed to just, you know, their street address and city, state, and zip code.
Yeah. So that was, you know, we've seen a lot of research other than our own that does back up putting a name out there. Pitney Bowes did a huge study on effective ways to get an envelope opened, and that was one of the things they came up with, was that to have not a business but have an actual person's name on the return address. So, and I do also tell people that, because I've seen it from other second party marketers that say the same thing. And when we've done case studies, it's kind of like what you said though, Jonathan. It's not like, oh, they're getting a 30% better response with it. It's not declining. And based on, you know, seeing all these other market research studies, you know, we do tell people. And the idea behind that was that it is a person, because it's a person, someone's going to take the time to open it to find out who this person is. And that's where that came from. They said, you know, because if it's blind, people, I don't know. I'm lazy. I'm really lazy when I do my own mail. Like if I'm sending someone a birthday card, I don't put my name on the return address. I just put my address. So, you know, me personally, I just think if I get a card or something that doesn't have someone's name on the return address, it doesn't stop me from opening it, you know, if I'm intrigued enough to open it. And I've been fooled a few times. You know, I've thought, oh, this is something for me, and it's some financial advisor inviting me to a seminar or something. But they do, in general, they say that a name will get you a better open rate on an envelope.
Yeah, I think the key there is name. because we've tried it with business company name and it didn't work as well, because that gets, but if it's a personal name, it's more like, who is this, right? And so I'm going to open it and check it out. Whereas, you know, like I said, a business name may not get that. Somebody said, is the $950 a month plus ad costs, or does that include everything?
It includes absolutely everything. Yeah.
So $950 a month takes care of everything for you.
Yeah. All the click costs, any ad costs, everything's in there.
Somebody said, I'm new to this, so they can't really do it right now. Does this still apply in the future? Yes, obviously, this is something that's there. This isn't going away. Now, the pricing obviously depends on when you act, right? If you act in 3 months, it's probably not going to change. If you're talking about doing this in 2027, you know, things change with time. So a lot of it just depends on when you get involved, just like anything else, right? So, all right, I'm looking here. Let's see here. It's funny because somebody made a statement here, and they're kind of and I'm going to comment on this because I say this. It says I thought land was a blue ocean right now. It is 1,500 people out of an entire cut. That is not many. That's very. And the thing you got to remember with this too is just because they're using Deb's service doesn't mean that they're doing it right. She may have 1,500 land investors working for her, but a lot of them are just coming in and using their service. So they are using letters that aren't going to get open. That's no knock on Deb. It's just what those people chose, right? Because they're still using a mail house. So 1,500 people out of an entire country is very, 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 very minor. I really, like, I encourage you to go try to find any other sort of business that is that small of a group doing that. And that's not, 1,500 people is not talking about strictly straight up land investors either. You're talking about people that are doing multiple things and have land involved, you know, or include land in it or include everything in it. I mean, when it comes to actual just full-time people doing land and doing it the right way, that number actually goes down even more. But I mean, again, that's a very, very, very small number. Even if you were to double or triple that number, because obviously you don't handle everybody's marketing, but even if you were to double or triple that number and you were to say, well, there's 3,000 or 5,000 full-time land investors in the entire country, very, 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 very small amount of people. That's literally like 1 to 1.5 per county. So it's like everybody can be working a different area at the same time. It's very small. So yes, there's plenty of opportunity still out there. Let's see here. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions. Genus was on. He's watching. I don't know if he has anything.
The only thing I want to say, hold on, I was trying to start my video, but the only thing I wanted to say is real quick, guys, don't forget the promotion that Deb and RocketPrint got going on. Go to tlmletters.com. There is a promotion going on for direct mail at a discounted rate currently this week until the 3rd. And also there's more information about the Everywhere Land investing on their pricing, monthly, get started costs, all that good stuff. In addition to that, if you guys have any questions about that or have an interest in talking further to RocketPrint, reach out to Deb directly from our phone number right on tlmletters.com. And Deb, you can give out the phone number now if you want as well.
Yeah, the number is 1-800-442-0112. And yeah, you can go to the landing page. You can reach to us. We have some videos, some different things. If you want more information, we can get it over to you.
Absolutely. Deb, thanks so much for being on with us and talking to our group. Guys, again, just like with anything else, when we do these Crushing Land episodes, it's all about trying to bring value to your business. And as you know, not everything that you're going to be able to do. And as you continue to grow, you're going to have to spend some money to continue to grow. So with that being said, Deb, thank you again very much for being on with us today. For everybody that's listening, everybody that watched, thank you guys for watching. Ask any questions, go to tlmletters.com and reach out to them directly if you guys have further questions or have an interest in signing up.
We did have one other question that popped in here when you were talking, so we'll just ask it quick, is how long does it take to deploy the service from when they sign up?
Oh, good question. It really depends on how responsive you are. So, sometimes we get it up and going within 5 days. I would say the average is about 10 business days. But again, we create the ads and do those things for you. We have to have access to your website. So it's just how quickly you get the information back to us that drives that amount of time. But I would say 10 business days is probably average. But some people do get it done quicker just because they're very responsive.
Yeah. And remember with that, because they also asked if it includes review. I mean, we give you the letter. So part of it is if you're in our program, you have the letter already, right? And that you can adapt and you can change. So you can use that letter. It's just adding things to that letter, putting that code with that little arrow and stuff, being like, look about us here or this, and then going out and taking you're providing them the list. So they're now taking that list and they're targeting through, like you said, Facebook and Google and things like that. So it's still the same information. It's just a different way of making sure that you're being touched in that. I mean, that other people are being touched in that, like they're seeing you and all of that stuff even before they get your letter and all of those aspects. So part of it is don't confuse it, I guess, into being like, oh, I'm doing something different. You're not. You're still mailing a letter. They're still going to get the direct mail. It's just a matter of an extra add-on service that's included with that so that it makes that letter even more appealing and helps you to stand out, as she was saying, at, a third to 2/3 more, a lot of that just depending on your market. So again, and somebody asked about the 1,500 and what that means. I mean, she just basically said she had 1,500 land investors, that she was working with. But again, they're not all doing this program. They're not all from us. Some of those people are, because they are a mail house. That's what they do, right? So those numbers are whatever anybody provides. It's like, here's my list. Here's my letter. Send them out. A number of you there's probably a few hundred right from us of those 1,500, right? So 1,500 is not a big number for that. And then again, if you're doing all the little things that help you stand out, if you're talking about only 1,500 people, and now you're like, okay, I've got a better letter. I'm also following up with text. I'm also doing this. You really can stand out, and this can be a really, 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 really big difference. And it's funny. Some people are using it as a negative, and I'm still like saying like, that's a very, very low number. I mean, how many house investors do you send letters for? Tens of thousands? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
100,000?
Exactly. I'm sorry if I freaked anybody out with that number, because it really, like Jonathan's saying, it's very low. I mean, that's like 30 per state. I mean, it's very low. And again, they're not all mailing like Jonathan's telling, that's the thing I talked about earlier. It's so important to have a mentor or an educational group where you can learn things, because not all of them are doing the right things. They're not mailing consistently. They're not sending a letter as effective as your letter. There's a lot going on there. So, of those 1,500, there might be 100 of them that are only mailed once and are waiting, but yeah, with home investors, we have tens of thousands of home investors. That's our real estate is our number one client. Home investors are in the top of all of those. Land is a very small portion. So, don't get freaked out, but you know what? Competition's good. It's what makes us all really good at what we do. And it means that the market's strong, because there wouldn't be that many people in it if it wasn't a strong market and if there wasn't opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm that's a very good number to me. I mean, that's so minor to hear that. And so don't worry about that. And obviously everybody, because some people are watching this are already affiliated with us, some aren't, things like that. You can go to, right above me here, tlmletters.com. That's, for them and discuss these things with them. It can be anything from, like she said, it can be just straight up using them for direct mail, because the cost that they get things out the door, you'd be hard pressed to be able to do it yourself for that price by the time you factor in your time. So that alone, just for direct mail. And then on top of that, obviously, if you want to like add a little new, the postcard thing for those who have gone to your site just to kind of stand out a little bit differently. We talked about text in the last one. You can add those things in. You can add in this everywhere. I mean, just be looking to increase as you're going along to really help you, to stand out and get those deals done. Because now you're talking about, if there is 1,500 people, like she said, hundreds of them probably didn't even do anything. You're down to only a handful, maybe a few hundred that are actually doing this regularly over and over and over again. Now, so you want to be in the top, 1-2% of those people. And that's, what we're all trying to do. So you can go to them and talk about that with them. If you want any other help with anything, obviously we're just getting off the ground, how this is happening. I got a contract in this yesterday. I went and picked it up. $12,000 on a piece of property. That's worth about 50 grand. That came from a follow-up. That person got a letter, got a follow-up text, and that's where they sent back the contract. So again, standing out is different. If you want help with any of those things, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to thelandmethod.com. You can schedule a call there with us, and we'll be happy to talk to you and see how we can help. You can also call us directly, 980-357-4545. And we'll be happy to talk to you about anything that you need help with as well. So again, Deb, thank you so much for joining us. And just a reminder, everybody, that they are running a special just this week. So if you are looking at direct mail, even without these other things, if you're looking at direct mail, you can go here and you'll be able to get a discount on your direct mail pieces this week. And again, make sure you go through us, because we do have a relationship with them where you're getting a discounted pricing on, non-windowed envelopes, and things like that, a number of 10 envelopes. So it looks better. Things that we teach that help get it, what we were talking about during this program here, to get a better response rate. So make sure you do this, because that way you can get a discounted price on those. And in addition to the special, there's already a discounted price that's built in to get the things that we actually use. So very powerful for all of you. So again, Deb, thank you so much. Reach out to her, reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.
Thank you.